Serious and Selena's Outcast. Please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when all the good content is coming your way. I see you guys are watching it and I appreciate all of the views, but please just hit that subscribe button so you know when more videos from John Livia and Serious and Selena's Outcast are coming your way. Now, this video will be about the Tristan Tate interview from Michael Franzese. So I had covered the one with Andrew Tate, and they discuss things that you would have expected those two men to discuss. And you can go back and watch the video that I did on those two guys. But this one was very different. And I was more interested in seeing this one with Tristan because we really don't know the story behind Tristan. We don't know how he operates. He's more of the quiet of the two on social media. Even though Andrew has this huge personality and has these huge opinionated values and this tremendous value system, and everybody knows how much money he makes and that he was a three-time kickboxing world champion. When I finished watching this interview of Tristan, it would not surprise me if we find out that Tristan is actually the business mind behind the two of these guys, because this interview was very different from the Andrew Tate interview with Michael Franzese. Now, they do have a lot of similarities. They do have the same kind of value system. The one thing about these two guys that is fantastic is they go through everything together through thick and thin as brothers. They are partners in business together. They came up together. They were kickboxers together, and they do not leave each other. And if one goes to jail, they're both going to jail. And it's really something to be admired. I have two brothers, and we have a great relationship, but we are not nearly as close as these two guys. These two guys give a different definition of the word brothers. Okay, these guys don't do anything without each other. Now, the reason why I say Tristan might be the brains of the business between these two guys is because they went in depth into their businesses, their failed businesses, their successful businesses, how much money they have made. They went in depth into the allegations against them and when they were arrested and when they were in prison. And it was even more detailed about the business aspect, the success aspect, the money aspect than you did with Andrew. Andrew was more of a philosophical discussion about being masculine, men, so on and so forth. They went into a little bit with this one, but mostly this was more about their business dealings and their trial. And it was truly fascinating.
Well, every conversation my brother and I have ever had when we were broke somehow revolved around money. And we've run many businesses that did well for a little bit, then failed. We've tried to launch projects using the last of our money.
And you were
that
always
have
doing
failed.
this together, right?
Always together. I couldn't have imagined it any other way. We tried to bring various drinks we like from Eastern Europe to sell in UK supermarkets, set up meetings, invested all of our last money in this project. Everyone told us no, failed. We had this idea once to set up a system where people could run, remember those competitions or win a vacation, text this to this number. We tried to middleman that and allow other people to run text competitions on a premium rate phone line that we set up. And we set it up and tried to market it, lost all of our money. Once again, we were broke eating ramen noodles. So we've tried everything. I mean, we've done all sorts of failed and successful businesses over the years.
Right. So first of all, the first question Michael Franzese asked him is, how are you dealing with the indictment and that you might go to prison and so on and so forth? And he gave a great answer, and I admired him greatly for this answer. And he actually said that he's setting his life up as if he knows he's going to prison. He's setting his life up so his mom is okay with money, so that his children are okay with money, so that the mother of his children is okay with money, so that nothing changes financially for them when he goes to prison. He's not fighting it thinking, well, I'm hoping I'm not going to go to prison and I'll deal with it then. No, he's doing what a responsible man does. He's setting up his loved ones just in case he has to go to prison. So he's living every day like, yeah, I'm going to prison. But when you get into the discussion, it seems like they really don't have much on him, right? So we'll get into that. Now, he goes into businesses. And this was really fascinating because he goes into what businesses have failed. because he says to Michael, he goes, we've had successful businesses, we've had failed businesses, we've tried everything. There have been times where we put all the money we had into something and it flopped, and we were broke, and we were eating ramen noodles again, and we were just living in a terrible apartment in a terrible neighborhood trying to make it. And he actually gives two scenarios where they had businesses. One was TV advertising, actually. That was actually pretty interesting because they were able to pull off electronic cigarette TV advertising. And they were the first guys to be able to get a television commercial for electronic cigarette in the UK. But then they banned commercials for electronic cigarettes, like literally like 30 days later after they pulled this off. So they made a whole bunch of money, and then it just poof went away.
We were always in sales, and we worked sales jobs. And the first time I ever tasted real money, we used to sell television advertising campaigns. We'd call companies that don't advertise on TV, and we try to sell them a campaign. So my brother didn't like the guys he worked for. Him and another senior salesman started a new company doing exactly the same thing so they could be in control of the company. And I was working for them as a salesman. And me and my brother were the first people in the UK to bring an electronic cigarette onto television advertising. There was a bunch of walls. All these people wanted to advertise on TV. And we had this really good agent who was in charge of a process called Clearcast, which is checking the advertising standards and seeing if a product can be advertised on TV or not. And the company, I'm not going to say the company's name, they've probably gone out of business by now, was the first electronic cigarette company ever to be advertised on TV, because we managed to bend the rules to get the advert through. A couple months later, so me and Andrew made a lot of money. I mean, to us back then, $35,000, $40,000 each on this big deal, this $1 million deal, and we were super happy. And we assumed that we'd made it.
The other one was there's these Romanian liquor or Romanian cocktails that are only sold in Eastern Europe, and they tried to market it in the UK, and it flopped, and the same thing. So it was really interesting. Now, what was even more interesting was that they talk about the webcam service, and he said they made a lot of money, but they didn't make incredible amounts of money. He said what actually made a tremendous amount of money was the Real World platform, which is an online education system on how to be an entrepreneur, how to market yourself on the internet, and how to become a successful man, how to become a very wealthy young man. He said that actually made a tremendous amount of money. The webcam business that everybody knows that they went into was not, even though it made money, he said it made $500,000 in profit every year. But it was not what brought them into a really wealthy status. The online educational platform was really brought them to this level of status. He actually compares it to Lamborghini money versus a Bugatti money. He says, I had a Lamborghini, but now I'm driving a Bugatti, and 20 Lamborghinis is equivalent to the cost of one Bugatti, if anybody knows. Like, I didn't even know that, right?
Well, the next step, me and Andrew, and I take a lot of flack for this. I take a lot of flack for this, and I always talk about it because I want people to understand exactly the industry that I got myself into. I ran a streaming company. So back I'm an atheist at the time. I'm in my mid-20s, 24 years old. I come from the streets. There was this service that existed when you were younger, and you probably remember it, and all of the people probably older than me remember it, where it was these hotlines you used to call and flirt with beautiful women. So that had all died by then, and it evolved into streaming online on the internet. So I ran a completely legal, tax-payable company, and this gets me in some trouble nowadays, where I had these people, these women, streaming themselves on the internet for the same type of guy who would call the phone sex hotline, usually just lonely dudes looking to talk to some chick. And that has made the newspapers last week when Andrew became associated, when Andrew and I launched this online educational product that we now no longer own, and we just simply were the face of it. This online educational platform has made us, I guess, the big money, but I've had big money by most people's standards since I was 28. So it depends what you consider big money. But the online educational platform is certainly a moneymaker. The webcam studio really didn't earn me that much money. I donate more to charity every year than I ever made running that business. However, $500,000 a year in profit, that's still big money.
Yeah.
That's still very big money. It's just small compared to where I am now.
Then they kind of got philosophical a little bit. They went into male value versus female value, which was very interesting because he puts it in a situation. He describes a hypothetical situation between men and women and how their value is judged differently. And that if you swapped it, you would be able to see that it is judged very differently.
Male value and female value are judged in completely different ways.
Correct.
Okay? Completely different ways. So let's pretend I am a 24-year-old man. I've made my first $10 million, but I won't earn another penny. This is a thought experiment. I've got $10 million. I'm 24. I'm in great shape. Okay. I get into relationship after relationship after relationship. I get fatter, in less shape. I stop training. I'm not working. I buy this girl a house, that girl a ring, this girl some diamonds, blah, blah, and end up broke at 35. Okay. What I've done in that hypothetical situation is expended my value, wasting my energy on the wrong women.
Then they discuss how the law is weaponized against people they want to go after. So he discusses a particular situation and how they kind of twist it to make it very difficult for them and to make the public think that they are guilty of something that they are not. So he actually discusses this situation where he met a girl who was 17 years old. She is now 24 years old. He met a girl who was 17 and actually met her in a public place, shook her hand, and they called her in for questioning. They called her in, the police called her in for questioning and asked her, did Tristan do this to you? And she said, no. Did Tristan do that to you? And she said, no. She said, when did you meet him? And she said, at this place, and so on and so forth. And then she said, how old were you when you met him? And she said, 17. So then what the cops did was, when they found out this girl was 17 when they first met, they tried to get him on trying to get an underage girl to work for him, sex trafficking, so on and so forth, kidnapping, blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, because I believe what the headline was is that they were looking into this underage girl, and it made everybody think that he was actually seeking a girl that was a teenager, which was just not the case.
The way that the law could be weaponized is honestly terrifying. And it's terrifying to me. I'm going to give you an example. Every single girl who I've met has been investigated as a potential victim of mine. Anyone I've ever met, for any reason, any woman that I know has been investigated and questioned. If they could find her, they'll question her. You're a potential victim because of Tristan because XYZ. So everyone I've met are all in this potential victim pile of papers, yes? This is the scariest thing that's happened to me. A girl who is 24 years old, who I still know. I saw her last week. She was at a restaurant with me last week. Still know her. She said in the interview, she went there without a lawyer, not knowing what the interview was about. And they said, where did you first meet Tristan? And she goes, at a party. Okay, where was the party? In a hotel reception. Did Tristan invite you? No. Who invited you? Well, my friend's sister was invited by Tristan, and this girl brought us along to the party. And you met Tristan there. Yeah, that's where I first met him. Nothing happened. It was a handshake. How old were you when you met Tristan? I was 17. Okay. They released a public statement saying that they're now investigating Tristan Tate for the potential attempted trafficking of a minor. How sick do you have to be? This person is a 24-year-old woman who I still know.
Then they actually talked about a girl that lied and said that she was kidnapped, but it was pretty much thrown out because they had surveillance. They have surveillance all around the house, and she's walking in and out of the house and going back and forth and so on and so forth. And she leaves to get food. I think she went to get a pizza or something like that. They had text messages on her phone that said, I'm going, to take advantage of this situation. I don't know verbatim exactly what had it, but admitting that she's going to lie, basically. Okay. Then this was tremendous. This was a fascinating part. Michael Franzese actually asks Tristan Tate, what are the actual charges that you and your brother are looking at? And they said, well, there are 3 charges, 2 of which apply to both of us, and only one applies to me. So the first one that applies to both of them is forming an organized crime, gang, if you will, organized criminal enterprise, if you will. The other one is trafficking and exploitation. And the other one that is only for Tristan was inciting violence. And this was unbelievable because once he describes why they're trying to charge him with inciting violence is, and the girl told him about her getting into a fight with another girl. Then she, we fought, we pulled hair, blah, blah, blah. And he says, back would have said, and they pulled it from this girl's phone and they're using that to say that he incites violence. And it was just unbelievable. It just really looks like they're really looking for these two. Well, it just really looks like they're really looking for these two to get these two guys. They're really looking for something to get these guys, but they can't find anything. So they're actually fabricating something out of nothing, right? And it makes you root for these guys because they're really not guilty of anything. Every girlfriend or every girl that he knew that worked for him, that they ever knew, he states in this video, anytime the cops interviewed him, they never had a bad thing to say about them. They never did anything against their will. If it was a girl that worked for them, they all got paid. They were never exploited. They were never manipulated. They were never harmed. So they really can't get them on anything. So they're trying to take something and twist it and give the public an image that is just not accurate. They're trying to drag their name through the mud. So if they could do this, I wouldn't be surprised if they do somehow go to prison. If they do go to prison, they can only appeal it while they're in prison. And according to Tristan, it's a very long process in Romania. Now, I truly think you guys should go and watch this. If you don't know who the Tate brothers are, do a little bit of investigation. Believe me, it won't take long to figure out who they are. Everybody knows who Andrew and Tristan Tate are. Everybody knows who Michael Franzese are. But it's two tremendous interviews. I would go and watch both of them. This one was a little bit different. I have a more of a respectful view for Tristan because I truly believe he is intellectual when it comes to business management and advertising and selling himself. Because he says something very interesting. He said, there are three phases when people get paid. One is getting paid for doing something. Two is getting paid for being able to teach a skill. And then the third phase, which is probably very, very few people, is getting paid to just be you. People want to interview you. People want you to do certain things, to advertise with you, or so on and so forth, just because it's you. It's like a celebrity status almost. And he says less than 1% of the population really get there. Most people get paid for what they know, like a skill set or something like that. And he was just very insightful, very intellectual, a great thinker, and certainly a great businessman. So go watch it. And I hope you liked my content. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. All right, later. Peace.